Stone Cold. Chapter 4. Noakes and Snow pulled up at the entrance to the warehouse where there were already a number of other police and civilian vehicles parked. A uniformed officer walked up to the vehicle as they climbed out.
The owner is upstairs in his office with 2 of my men waiting for you. I must warn you.
He paused and looked at Snow.
You have to walk past the main fighting ring to get there.
He then turned to lead the way for them to follow.
Anything seem familiar yet?
Noakes turned to ask Snow. She shook her head. It was all completely new for her. She felt frustrated and was hoping something would help her remember. Inside the warehouse was something neither of them expected. There was a big circular cage in the center of it, surrounded by benches and chairs, with a fenced-off storage area to the side. There was blood on the floor of the cage, and a handcuffed man standing next to its entrance. Next to him appeared to be a bloodied mop. He had obviously been trying to clean up the mess. Snow looked inside the cage as they walked past. She saw something and stopped to try get a better look.
What is it?
Noakes looked back and asked.
Is that an ear? A human ear?
Snow asked.
The CSI are on their way now to go through this mess.
The uniformed officer informed them and then turned to keep moving towards the office. Snow felt a churn in her stomach. That couldn't be Theresa May's ear. In the photograph of her head, she still had both ears fully attached. So, whose ear was that? After climbing up a flight of metal stairs, the officer opened the door to the small office. Inside stood 2 armed policemen, and behind them on a chair sat a short, fat, middle-aged man. He wore his stained white t-shirt and reminded Snow of an Italian butcher.
You, oh my God, you. I knew you were a biter the first time I laid eyes on you.
He said loudly with a thick Russian accent, waving his finger at Snow.
Me.
Snow replied, pointing a finger at herself, then doing a quick check behind her to make sure that nobody else had followed them into the room.
What exactly do you do here, mister?
Noakes asked the man, waiting for him to respond with his name.
You could call me Sergey. And I offer, well, you could say, a very specialized service.
He said, looking at Snow.
You can ask her, she knows.
He seemed oblivious to the amount of trouble that he might be in, coming across as being rather jolly, and not worried at all, like an evil Russian Santa.
But that's just it. I don't know. I can't remember being here. And what was I biting exactly?
Snow asked.
Oh dear.
The jolly Russian man seemed to lose his cheerful disposition.
Everything I do here is above board.
He pointed to a broken and overflowing filing cabinet in the corner.
I get everyone to sign waiver beforehand. You can see for yourself.
I tell you what, just out of curiosity, why don't you tell me in your own words exactly what it is you do here?
Noakes said as she pulled up a chair and straddled it cowboy style, directly across from Sergei. He looked at her and at the room of police officers, then to Snow, finally saying,
Zombie wars.
He said, lifting his hands and shoulders in one big shrug. Of all the things going on in her imagination, Snow did not expect that answer.
Okay, what do you mean by zombie wars, Sergey?
Noakes asked him, making sure she said his words back to him, slowly and carefully.
Everybody loves zombies, yes? You see us everywhere, with television, movies, books, games, everywhere.
He said, looking up and smiling at Snow, giving her a little wink. She could feel her eyes widen and hoping that he was not what she had been biting. There weren't enough antibiotics or mouthwash in the world to flush her system of this creep.
So, you come here, you sign form, big special cocktail.
He said, pointing through the window of the office that overlooked the fighting ring to the fenced-off area they had passed earlier.
Then you can be zombie. It's good, you know, for stress relief.
Tell me about the cocktails.
Snow asked, ignoring the obvious glares she got from the officers.
It's special drugs. Some make you forget it, some a lot. And they make you like, you know, a zombie.
He said, clearly finding it hard to think of an English description.
So people what? Come here, get drugged up willingly, and then what? Fight each other to the death in the ring?
Noakes asked.
No, nothing like that, no to the death. Nobody dies here. They just fight and scratch a little.
He sat forward for Noakes to hear him more clearly.
I get a lot of couples, husband and wives, come to sort out their marital differences.
He then sat back and looked at Snow.
Just the other night your friend was in here with her lady friend for the same reason.
He must have been referring to Theresa May.
But I don't even remember getting here.
Snow said, again ignoring the looks from the officers in the room.
No, you come here already after special cocktail with your water friend.
Noakes looked at Snow and then back at the large Russian man.
What do you mean by watcher friend?
It's part of the rules.
He said.
You must have sober watcher friend to make sure you get home safely afterwards.
Would you be able to recognize her watcher friend if you saw him again?
Noakes asked Sir Jay.
Even better. I show you video.
He said, pointing to his computer.
I have security cameras just in case. You and your friend, you come with the same watcher. I'll show you.
He said, turning the switch on the PC behind him. The old yellow desktop whirred loudly into life. Clearly, modern technology was not of interest to Sergei and his operation. It slowly began the process of starting up, and everyone stood impatiently around, waiting to see what truths it would unfold.
Some of my regulars call me zombie warlord.
Sergei said very proudly in his thick Russian accent, trying to bring weight to the situation. Noakes looked at him, very unimpressed, and he quietly looked back at the PC. Snow had to shuffle around where she could see the screen between the cops and over the stained white t-shirt of Sergei. She finally could see just over his left shoulder, which had a particularly greasy-looking handprint on it. She looked at the stain, squinting a little. Was that blood?
Here we go.
Sergei broke her attention from his shoulder, and she looked up at the screen to see an image of herself, standing swaying from side to side. It was definitely herself that she was staring at, but it seemed so surreal her eyes were half closed. And she was drooling. A man walked up and stood next to her, and Sergei paused the video.
There, you see? Your friend. Now you know him, yes?
He asked, looking at Snow. She was transfixed, looking at the image of herself, half hoping it was someone else, and half hoping that someone wiped the drool from her chin. She felt her hand moving up to her chin, as if to wipe away the drool that was now long gone.
Dr. Hiver.
Noakes said loudly to get her attention.
Do you recognize this man?
She asked. Everyone in the room was now staring at Snow, eagerly awaiting her answer.
No, I don't recognize him at all.
Okay, let's pack it all up and take it to the station to have the techs look at it.
Noakes said, then turning to look at Sergei.
Arrest this man and let CSI finish up.
Sergei stood up and shrugged as the uniformed officers read him his rights and cuffed him, still keeping his unusually cheerful demeanor. The drive back to the station seemed to take forever, and Snow couldn't wait for it to end so that she could see Shadow again. She was beginning to feel the anxiety she felt so often when separated from her reassuring greyhound for so long, an anxiety that was being made worse by the unusual events of the day.
I'm sorry about what you saw in that video.
Detective Noakes finally broke the silence.
It must have been very unsettling to see yourself in a state like that.
She paused for a moment as Snow turned to look at her.
I don't understand how somebody can even do that to another person.
I do.
Snow said, quickly interjecting.
Whoever that man is, he more than likely suffers from severe psychopathic tendencies.
She paused, feeling sick to her stomach.
He must have drugged my dinner. It's the only thing from outside my home that came in.
Snow paused again, gathering her thoughts.
That means he must have planned this meticulously, following me for weeks to learn my routine. The only thing I can think of that he is trying to accomplish is that he is trying to uncover a truth about something, and this is something he felt he needed to do, to me, to help him find that truth.
You mean he's obsessed with something?
Noakes asked.
Not really obsessed. Psychopaths can't really become obsessed over something. They do, however, become curious about certain things, especially pertaining to human action and interactions, because for the most part they don't experience things the way other people do, and they find ways to try understand how people are meant to have and or feel certain experiences.
Snow paused to see if Noakes was still following.
They will eventually stop following the path to find the answer they are searching for, when either they find the answer, or their understanding of what the answer would be, or they simply become bored of it.
She paused again. Noakes was slowly nodding.
Whereas a person who was obsessed would never really stop being obsessed over what the outcome would be, even if they found what they were looking for. An obsessed person would then try to recreate certain situations to find the same or similar answers over and over again.
So, we need to find this guy and to try figure out what he is trying to figure out, and how he's going about doing it so that we can stop him.
Noakes asked.
Before he turns someone else into a zombie or cuts them into pieces?
Perhaps.
Snow replied.
And he will have complete disregard for any laws. Psychopaths often don't understand the need for laws, so they will completely ignore them if they feel necessary. And they will have no problem putting their lives and the lives of others in danger.
She continued, feeling a ripple of disgust as she remembered seeing herself on the video in a zombie state.
Something about you made him want to include you in all of this. He must have felt that something about you or your life would be able to help him to find his answers.
Noakes stopped at a traffic light and seemed to be in deep thought for a moment.
And somehow this all includes something to do with the dismemberment of 2 other victims,
she said, slowly driving off as the traffic light turned green. Snow could see the police station up ahead and began to feel a sense of relief.
For your own safety, I don't want you to go home tonight, or even do anything you would normally do.
Noakes pulled into Buttonhole Bay's police station's parking area.
At the very least, you might unsettle the suspect and he will make a mistake that will help us to catch him.
Noakes came to a stop and switched off the engine. What she was saying made sense, but it made Snow feel extremely nervous.
He has obviously been following you. It's how he knew when to drug your food and what you would be doing and when.
Okay, I will stay at a hotel tonight.
Snow said, taking a deep breath and telling herself it would all be okay in the end.
Great. Let me know which one, and I will send a few guys to keep an eye on you. The last thing we need is to receive pictures of your dismembered body.
And with that parting thought, Noakes climbed out of the Range Rover. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Stone Cold from the Needle and Notions Mysteries podcast. Subscribe to my channel to never miss an episode.